When I retired from school teaching, I tried to stop the quarries. This and I got into all this water stuff. Well, that didn't work out. It was in court like 6 years, but they still went ahead with the quarries. And then trying to stop the quarries, I met all these people like Sailor Sagahatchee, friends of Chua. And one day they said to me, you ought to go for water testing. And I said, yeah, that sounds like fun, collecting data, you know. So I came over, and it's just 2006 when that E. coli spinach scare was out. So most everybody chose chemical testing. And there was hardly anybody doing bacterial. So I thought, you know, I'm going to do bacterial just for fun. And they told me, Serge told me, don't run around like a crazy lady everywhere. We'll give you sites and stick to those sites. Well, before they could give me the sites, I thought, you know, I'll just go out and see if I can do this. All right, so I bought a toaster oven, and I think I only paid 18 bucks for it. Put a thermometer in there, and on the warm side, you know, where it's like warm your bacon or something, it stays like 32 degrees. So I told my husband I was going to do this in the kitchen, and he said, no, you're not. So he gave me a little place in the storage room where I could set my stuff up. So I take my grandkids down to this park called Felton Little. So I thought, you know, I'm going to go down and test the water there because they're always throwing stones in there and playing. Well, if I go down like at 8 o'clock in the morning one day, it's incubated by like 3 the next day. I leave it in there for about 30 hours. And when I pulled those plates out, I couldn't believe it. I called over here. I said, I'm coming over. Nobody's going to believe me. This is my first time, and I'm getting these big counts. Now, you'll see in your book, there's like the upper limit's like 600 colonies per 100 milliliters of water. I got 10,000. All right. So I came up here, they photographed it, and of course they got after it. It turned out with the veterinarian cleaning out his place where he has his dogs, he was throwing the poop over into the stream. So that's how that happened. Okay, then there was another case. I was also testing at Hickory Dickory Park. And that was even stranger because sometimes the counts were high, sometimes they were low, and we couldn't figure it out. But Serge had a friend who's a jogger. Now let me tell you, joggers know everything. Because they go out in the morning, they can smell it, you know. So when I went over there, I found Joe the jogger, and I said, hey Joe, where is this coming from? And he said, I'll show you. It was coming up in the middle of the street. But he said it comes up, this is during the drought, he said it comes up mostly in the morning when people are getting ready for work, flushing a lot of toilets. You know, he said if you really want to see it, come tomorrow morning, like around 8 o'clock. So I went over there at 8 in the morning, got my samples. When I looked at the plates, they were really strange. They hadn't grown into like big colonies, they were just these little dots. So I took it over to Bill Deutsch. I said, Bill, explain this to me. He said, you have so much E. coli that it doesn't have enough food to grow. So if you get a little plate, you know, with little dots, that means it's really high. You know, the stuff can't grow because it doesn't have enough food. So this is strange though. See, people were complaining about this, but the city said nothing was wrong. Well, when you show them those plates, they have to fix it. They have to find out. Okay, then my latest discovery, or hit, I'll call it, was last year. This is down on South Gay Street, which isn't far from here. There's a little stream that goes by, and it was really nasty. In fact, when I went into that water, I said, Sir, you're going to have to give me some kind of pay for doing this hazardous work. I mean, it was slimy, sticky, dirty, but the counts weren't that high. That's what was funny. But I test puddles. Like during the drought, why would you have a puddle in the middle of the street? Exactly. So I tested those puddles, and they were high. So I called Matt Dunn with the city. I said, hey, Matt, there's something wrong down here. I said, you have to test these puddles. And he said, well, we don't test puddles because that's used the data. And that's true, because if you have a little puddle and it's warm, the E. coli would be growing, you get them. I said, well, I don't know. He said, okay, I'll meet you there tomorrow morning and you show me where these puddles are. So we went down, and it was sort of raining that day, and he looked at all that. He said, I'll tell you what, I'll blow out these pipes one more time. I'll do all this. He said, if these sewage pipes aren't like stuffed up, we're not going to dig up the street for you. That's what he said. So I said, okay, I don't care what you do, but follow the puddles. All right, so the next morning they go down there, nothing's wrong with the sewage pipes. They followed the puddles, and up about 2 blocks is a little cafe called Amsterdam Cafe. And they had accidentally tied in a sewage line with a storm sewer.
Oh!
So that's where it was coming from. All right, so that's the kind of thing. See, the city will look at their sewage pipes, but they don't go further than that. So people, they put the Opelika Auburn News put my picture in the paper one day, you know, with the discovery. And now people had taken down that number, like my name. So I get all kind of calls now, you know, to come down. When they have like contacted the city and the city hasn't given them any, like, what would you call it, help, then they contact me. So it's been a lot of fun. And I'm happy though when I don't make a big discovery. It's better, like I have these 22 sites, when they're all clean, I feel really good about it. So, but it's a lot of fun. You have to like to play in the mud, that's rule 1. And you have to like to walk through the woods, which is, and I have a couple of things, I'm pretty old. So I'm not for, you know, swinging on Tarzan vines to get to the bottom of the creek, but if it's like a pretty steep slope, I just sit on cardboard and slide down. And but if the stream goes in like that, then I have to find another place to go in. But usually I get in one way or the other. So I just want to encourage you, and I'm so glad to see young people, because we need help in Alabama, all the help we can get. So I'm glad you're here today, and I welcome you.